到4楼呀，4楼还有那个就是安全训练。哦，那个房间拿着东西啊。
Yeah. Oh, that's.
Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dan, your cruise director, speaking to you here once again from the bridge. Some important safety information. This announcement is to remind all guests that in 15 minutes' time, the ship will conduct a mandatory muster drill. This drill is a requirement of
Oh, you have a plate, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, only here ice cream. Only here.
Only here? Okay. Because I know my kids said they were going to come get ice cream, so they'll end up here.
In the day 5, but then you're trying to go here. Only here is complimentary.
Okay.
And Matt. Heather.
Do it as often as you can.
Oh yeah. Sarah.
Attention all crew members. All crew members may now stand down from today's guest muster drill. Thank you very much to all our wonderful and hard-working crew members for your ongoing continued efforts in our mutual safety life at sea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce myself one more time. My name is Dan. I'm your cruise director here on board. To give you a quick highlight of some of the great entertainment that we're operating on your first day. Well, the day started to rain a little bit outside, but the rain doesn't look. We've got some great sailing views of Bayonne and New York as we set sail towards the sunshine here in Bermuda. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the best place to take in the sailing is on the open deck on deck 10. And of course, like I said, the rain has all out. We will, of course, have some lovely live music out there as well all day. Ladies and gentlemen, some great things here and for you throughout the cruise. And the best place to find out that information is in what we call the It is our daily journey that we deliver to your favourites or all the aircraft waiting for you there. And that will take a rundown of all the great entertainment activities that we have to do on this vacation. We're going to give you a top tip of what not to miss this evening. We're getting straight into showtime this evening at 7 and 9 o'clock in the Celebrity Theatre. Do not miss our amazing headline this evening, Mr. Rondell Sheridan. A hilarious comedian and quite famous comedian. I guarantee you'll recognise this gentleman as soon as he comes out on stage. Very famous, been on many, many TV shows and of course appeared on everything from The Late Show with Jay Leno and also The Very, Very Late Show as well. You're going to absolutely love this guy tonight. You've got standing ovations last cruise and we're very lucky to have opening our cruise this evening. Now, showtime's at 7 and 9 p.m. 7 o'clock is a pre-dinner show. Pre-dinner show for all you who are late to this. 7 p.m. show is an after-dinner show for those who are early and are hosted in beautiful and join us. No reservation or seating or tickets are required. Just come along, it's open seats. Get there early, get a great seat. Of course, we will be opening the doors around 30 minutes before showtime. So don't miss it in the Celebrity Theatre tonight. Celebrity Theatre is right at the forward end of the ship on decks 4 and 5, and it's at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Hilarious comedian Rondell Sheridan, we're getting straight into the entertainment with a great headline act tonight, not to be missed. As we go later into the evening, we've got our welcome aboard parties, our time machine party through the decades, and lots.
Thank you very much, Captain. Well done, Captain. It's Dan, your crew director, speaking to you here from the steering. Well, I hope that you all rested well last night, and we've got a great lineup of activities, sunlight events out in and around the ship. I'm going to give you a couple of quick highlights before you let you enjoy your day here on board. Starting very shortly at 10:30 a.m. is what I told you about last night, the heartbeat of the operation. This is a complimentary tour of the main galley and food preparation areas. If you want to come and join in that.
No, it's not back up, the other side. Okay, no more about there.
You expect to see him?
Yeah. What would be the Which one is it? Oh, yeah, you do this.
I didn't realize how often I look down at my wrist too. Pain in the neck.
It's for the whole week.
And they keep it at a constant level. So the beauty of it is not
We'll get it back on the other way.
And the history about what the purpose of them was for. But you really need to go on experience. So remember, we're coming north from New Jersey. There's the triangle, and to enter it, you really need to go on experience. And speaking of experiences, you're going to see amazing sand. Now, a question for you. Is the sand pink?
a little bit.
It can appear pink. It's all about the reflection of the light. And the reflection of the light is on the pink flecks in the sand. And the pink flecks in the sand come from the skeleton of the amoeba fish. And it gets washed up onto the sand, mixes in with the sand, and that will give the appearance of the reflection that indeed the sand is pink. So keep that. Then it is reinsurance. So the reinsurance of the insurer. Okay? And so tourism makes up around about 20%, but when they invest in it hard. And this particular property is iconic because it has had 3 different types of relaunch in order to make it work. These properties were originally set out as eco-houses that sit on the cliffs and also over the water, okay? But they couldn't attract the right market. And when you're going out and seeing this from the Bay Area, you'll see it from the shoreline, also you'll see it on this, when you're taking in the scenic shore highlights, they'll talk to you about the importance of this particular place on the island. And you're looking out for Gibbs Hill Lighthouse. That's the tallest building on the island. No building on the island is allowed to be above the Gibbs Hill Lighthouse, which is seen from 40 miles out from sea. And also you get the opportunity to go to Hamilton and the famous shopping area of Front Street. And speaking of Hamilton, this is the view that you're going to get when you come in on the ferry or take in by vehicle. Look out, like I said, when you are going on the experiences for the lighthouse, history of the lighthouse, you'll stop at some of the sandy beaches. Very famous Horseshoe Bay, which I'm going to come to in a moment, and also a chance to see St. George, which has the oldest Anglican church in the Western Hemisphere. I said to you I'd touch on beaches, and here they are. This is Horseshoe Bay. Does anybody know why it's called Horseshoe Bay? Because it's shaped like a horseshoe. That's why, of course. And it might appear, depending on the reflection of the light, the pink flecks in the sand, which remember comes from the amoeba fish, the skeleton. Horseshoe Bay is a must-see during the 3 days. Whether you want to do it on the first day or the last day, you need to go and see beautiful Horseshoe Bay. Incredible luxury and beautiful island, and a real representation of the paradise that is indeed Bermuda. Wonderful, wonderful place. And to tell you as well, you're in a really good spot at the moment. A lot of the crew on this ship specifically request to come back to Bermuda every year because it is such a paradise, because we get to share the experiences with you lovely people, and all of them love Horseshoe Bay. Coming into lovely St. George now, I referenced the oldest Anglican church in the Western Hemisphere, and you can climb the steps. And remember that it is indeed a UNESCO World Heritage Site, St. George. And there you will understand about the history of the settlers going back to the early 1600s, when the Virginia Company actually came in, and then the settlers in mid-1600s settled in, of which there were 60, like I referenced before, and they then set it to be what it is now, Bermuda. Lots of British influences here. Remember, a very affluent place indeed. St. George, lovely area. And you'll see as well the reference to my mention earlier that all the buildings have colours that relate to the beautiful reefs, which I'm going to touch upon shortly. Okay, Studio 8, the Crystal Caves. 2 little boys playing cricket, and the ball goes into a hole. And being 2 little boys, they're going to get as much rope as they can and climb into the hole, and they find the Crystal Caves. Okay, stalagmites and stalagmites dating back thousands and thousands of years. And it can get a little bit wet in there. You get the odd drip because it's still an active cave, of course. As you're walking around, you don't need an umbrella as such. And my colleague told me this, and I want to share it with you. He said, Shane, remember to tell people that there are no elevators in caves. Okay, so there are some steps down into the caves. The water that you can see is around about 1,500 feet. You'll get to hold a piece of the rock formation that actually has come off, and the guys will talk you through. They'll light up different areas to demonstrate the stalagmites and stalagmites. And also nearby is an aquarium, and also the museum, and so very worthwhile a visit if you're taking the Crystal Caves over the 3 days to take your kids to learn about the history, the 2 little boys that found the caves. Then really going to come away with a wonderful experience. And speaking of wonderful experiences, you can go on the amazing railway trail. That is a hike up there. I showed you the bike ride at the beginning. This was originally an old rail line that ran from the dockyard to Hamilton. Now that's been taken away. It's actually become a nature reserve, making up around about 50% of the wildlife in the area. You can look out for bird migrations. I'm a birder, so I look out for those. And you can really take it in and see some of the lovely wildlife. And it's a leisurely walk on the trek, on the rail trail. You can do it by bike. You can also do it by walking. It's entirely up to you. And indeed, there's opportunities as well for golfers. So if there are any golfers, this was played by the wonderful Rory McIlroy at the Fairmont. There's a lovely golf club at Turtle Hill. And you can strike a ball on the courses where the famous people have played, the Bacardi Par 3. And for the more adventurous out there, you've got opportunities and the hidden gems experience where there is cliff jumping, and you can also swim in the caves. You can learn about the national birds and the trees and the flora and fauna of the area. It is simply Bermuda-ful. Thank you. Okay, and speaking of Bermuda-ful, people as well can also go fishing for a half day. This is usually a catch and relief experience. And you can be as happy as this man. This guy fishes all over the world. He strikes snappers, jacks and triggerfish, to name but a few, on the Atlantic half-day reef fishing. Now, I'm coming into the coral now, and I wanted to touch upon this because there are glass bottom boat experiences in the daytime. There are glass bottom boat experiences in the night time. And in the night time, it lights up the coral, and the reef is very important in this area because the Great Barrier Reef in Australia is actually dying. And it's dying because people are not applying their suntan lotion correctly, getting into the water, and instead getting involved with what is coral, which is a mixture of a plant and an animal, and it's killing off, regrettably, the barrier reef. So this reef in this area will become ever much more important. And you can see the different coral in the daytime and also the night time. In the daytime, it takes you to the shipwreck, the Vixen, and the Vixen was made of iron, and iron rusts, and iron rust creates an amazing breeding ground for coral. So you can learn about that as well. And you can also go kayaking around the bay area. Very nice to see the rugged coastline, exotic birds, the various different wildlife, and also the nice beaches. So, kayaking options. We're moving into the water now, and I want to come to the front again and talk to you about dolphins. My lovely girlfriend said, I want to see dolphins, and me being me, whatever you want, darling. Fellas, you got that, didn't you? So we go to see dolphins, and what you do is you all line up in a queue, and the gentleman says, these are the hand movements that I'm going to do in order to attract the dolphin, and he does all these hand movements, and you don't remember any. But, sure enough, he comes over, dolphin comes in, okay, and he says, put your hands in the water. So you put your hands in the water, and the dolphin swims under you and says, hello. Oh, wow, so it's a dolphin, it's so cool. Isles. When you're going in and seeing the coral, don't touch the coral. If you touch the coral, it may sting you, and stinging hurts them as well as you. Okay? And so you see the amazing coral here. Beautiful pictures. And I said earlier about going into the Bermuda Triangle, and how when you go into the Bermuda Triangle, you can see some of the most famous shipwrecks. You can only do that as part of what we are offering, the shipwreck snorkel experience. And the most famous, like I said, is the Montana and also the Constellation. So shipwreck experiences, Montana and Constellation, schools of tropical fish, lovely vibrant coral, and of course, I haven't mentioned it yet, but you will find the most famous drink on the island is a rum swizzle. Rum swizzle, so you get to try one of those. And to further mention about the coral, okay, you can see towards what is your right hand side of the screen at the bottom is a ball that looks like a brain, okay? It is called brain coral. And you see the one at the top that looks like a fan. That is called... Everybody's following. and it's called fan coral. So they have these names for them, but you'll learn a bit more in detail about them when you go in. And this is a good one because the Devil's Isle area is indeed shallow, so if you don't want to be in deeper water to see all of the different marine life and indeed the coral, then you can do it by going on the Devil's Isle cruise. And there's opportunities now also for scuba diving in the area. And what is that? It's a mixture of scuba diving and snorkeling where you can actually breathe underwater. Scuba experiences, and you can indeed go scuba diving. There's scuba diving at night. There's 2-tank scuba dives. Very good. I can't actually do this because I'm unable to equalize. For those divers out there, equalizing, releasing the pressure so you can actually go deeper. So scuba diving is better for me, and snorkeling, but if you are a scuba diver, it's one of the top dive sites in the world, so why not check it out and enjoy a 2-tank dive. And there's also exhilarating experiences. You can go and see the wildcat coastline adventures, see the lighthouses, the beaches, the shipwrecks, and this goes quite quickly and slow. So you can get across to Hamilton on Front Street. You can see all of the different music, you see the colours, the vibrance, there's people enjoying different food, various different activities happening. But what I want to tell you is that with the population of 65,000 and the 7,500 tourists going there, lots of people will want to go to Hamilton in order to experience it. And with this in mind, there is a ferry service, but if you take the local ferry, if you miss it or it's overcapacitated, they stop at certain times and you may end up having to get back from Hamilton. So what we've done to cater for this is we've allowed for it and we've rented our own private ferry which will take you to and from Hamilton and guarantee return. And I told you a little bit about the costs in Hamilton, so you can imagine what it is in order to get back on the taxi. So keep that in mind for harbour nights. Everybody will want to go from the ships and all of the local people are going to be there specifically put on for you during this summer season. 3 days that you are located there. Go around, look at the clock tower, learn about the history dating back to the early 1800s. Enjoy an evening tour, go out to harbour nights. It might be that you want to do a catamaran. You can learn about the history of the oldest church in the Western Hemisphere that is located in the UNESCO World Heritage Site of St George. Also, you can see the crystal caves. There's an aquarium. There is a zoo located there as well. And you can experience the crystal caves, understanding about the water, understanding how they were found, and the stalagmites of this area, the crystal caves. The coral reefs. You'll learn about the different coral and about the importance of the reefs, and of course the constellation among some of the most famous shipwrecks amongst, it is said, the 300 that are indeed located within the Bermuda Triangle. So, before I continue, I ask for a second time, is everybody with me? Everybody with me. Thank you very much. Very good. Okay, so we made the towels from your room. And also, keep hydrated with some water. Now, I have a guest on the show today, and she is from the Future Cruises team, and she's going to tell you
than you. We're just checking it out.
Yeah, chocolate and macaroni. That's it.
You have 2 extra tickets for this. Thank you, lovely people. It was amazing. All right, anything else? One? Okay, question one. Okay, let's do it all over again, huh? No, I'm kidding. All right, number 1.
Christ! What's with that knife?
sit. Yeah. Okay, this guy. Oh.
Not now.
Actually, no. Can I have like a super baked pasta? Baked pasta. And 2 meatballs?
If something has pockets, and then mushrooms, tomato, onion. Bacon and a little spinach.
What are those for bacon?
Salmon. Ada malu. I eat salmon. They got Oh, it's dangerous. Oh my God, no, don't do that. That's kind of dangerous.
Look at go.